I'm Lainey.
And I'm Laura Beth.
And we are Steel Magnolias.
Two sisters who love family, traditions, and all things Southern.
We've got plenty of room at our table, so pull up a chair. Well, we are celebrating today.
Woohoo!
Laura Beth and her husband Philip were the big winners on Wheel of Fortune, and we can finally talk about your winnings.
That's right. Oh my goodness.
I am over the moon. Tell me all the details.
We had such a blast. We got to watch the episode from Sweethearts Week live with a bunch of friends and family.
Yes.
And we had been tight-lipped, as we had been asked to be, about
legally.
Yes, the legal department would be very happy with us. We were tight-lipped and had not told a soul about anything that had happened. We'd had a couple of friends try different ways and angles.
Maybe in one of the main ones.
Getting some information out of us. But we also just knew it was going to be so much more fun to see it unravel.
Yes. I have to tell you, you were an even bigger winner than I thought. I was kind of thinking...
Really?
Yeah,
okay.
I was thinking, okay, they wouldn't have a viewing party if they totally bombed.
Sure. Yeah.
So they've done decent.
Yeah. Or if they did, it'd be, close friends and family.
Right.
Come over in my living room and watch it.
So I already was thinking, okay, good. But I didn't think you made it to the bonus round.
Really?
For some reason.
Okay.
Not that I don't think you're that good, because I definitely thought that. I just was thinking like, oh, I bet they did pretty good. And
hey,
you guys killed it.
We had the favor of the Lord.
Yeah.
And we acknowledged that it was... we did practice. We did everything that we knew to do in our own natural strength.
And by the way, it looked like you were absolutely having a blast the whole time.
Yeah.
Which made it even better.
Well, I just figured the more I smile, the more, or hopefully the less nervous I'm going to look.
Yeah, yeah.
But we were very, very nervous.
Okay.
There was really no way to get around it.
You made Franklin proud.
Well, thank you. I have been ambushed with texts, but also some questions that I think are really good questions of people that kind of want to know now some behind-the-scenes information that now I'm able to talk about and share.
Yeah.
So I'm just
give us the inside
I'm going to
scoop.
give some brief answers to questions of some of the repeats I've had this week. So, no prizes of any kind, cash, car, gift cards, trips of any kind. Nothing you win is yours for about 6 months from your air date.
You're not driving the car out.
You do not walk out with a check from Wheel of Fortune. You don't drive your Jaguar off of the Sony lot. So they give you, some paperwork, obviously acknowledging everything you've won. And this is, of course, all taxed.
Yeah, so that's kind of a bummer.
7% is the state tax for California, where Wheel of Fortune is taped. So that gets taken off the top. If you win cash, they're going to automatically take that out of your earnings. I guess if you didn't win any cash and maybe you only won a trip or some other prize that you weren't having cash sent to you, they would maybe send you some sort of invoice. Yeah, I'm not sure how that works if they don't have money to take out. But all earnings are reported as income. Yeah. So whatever your prize value is, and it's the suggested retail value, not necessarily fair market value.
Yeah.
All of that is taxed and should be reported on your income taxes. You cannot take cash for prizes, so there's no cash equivalent to a trip.
Gotcha. So, yeah.
Even for a lesser value. I did kind of think that would be an option. I don't know why. I thought, if you don't want to take the $10,000 trip, maybe they give you the option for $5,000 in cash.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works, because these are all sponsored.
Sure.
As well. So you have 1 year from your air date to take any trips.
Okay.
So my husband and I happen to have won 2 trips.
2 trips!
So we have 1 year to take both of those trips. You can forfeit a trip if you don't want to pay
no.
If you don't want to pay the taxes.
My favorite thing to spend money on.
Or, if for some reason you just can't go, you don't have to go. You can forfeit the trip, but you have to tell them pretty quickly. I think about 45 days.
Wow. Okay.
After your air date.
Yeah, no transfers, so it's not like you
transfers,
can say,
can't give it away, can't sell it.
Yeah.
And same for a car. You've got probably, I think it's kind of limited in terms of like your color selection of whatever the car is that you won. But they work with a local dealership, so they're not shipping cars from California.
Okay.
And I think those come, I don't know, about the same time, 6 months out, I think, is about that. But those were some of the immediate questions I got.
Everybody's wondering how that works.
We didn't win a car, but I did get questions about cars, and people were very curious about how the trips work. And
so where are you going?
So we are going to Switzerland, Austria, and Bavaria. That's a 10-day trip through Colette.
Yes.
And then we also have a trip to Hawaii.
Wow.
So, the Big Island.
It's going to be wonderful. I was so over the moon for you / teeny bit envious of the Switzerland, Austria trip. Because that's
your
very
bread and butter. Yeah.
List.
Yeah. That's not your bread and butter, but that's your sweet spot.
One of my desires.
Europe,
so
Europe has a place in your heart for sure. But you're going to Ireland later this year.
Soon.
We'll have lots of family coverage in Europe this year. Well, thanks for indulging me. We had a blast, and I have been so excited that a few people have actually heard about our podcast because of Wheel of Fortune. So I'm very grateful for the chance. And we actually, my husband and I, are going to be featured on one of the Wheel of Fortune blogs this week. So I'll get to share even more in that format about some of the special prizes and puzzles and just different events that happened.
How sweet Vanna was to you.
She was so kind. Yes. Yeah, I can't say enough nice things about her. So we got a great show today.
Yes, we're excited.
We're talking Gone with the Wind. Yep. We're talking manners. We're talking chivalry. We're talking resourcefulness. It's going to be great. And I think that we will have probably topics that will come out of this that may even spur on future episodes. So we've got a cocktail here.
We do. Part of celebrating. I came across, I wasn't planning on making a cocktail, but when I, find a fun recipe, I sometimes just can't help myself.
I know.
So this is a Scarlett O'Hara.
All right.
The recipe comes from a restaurant in New Orleans that we've actually mentioned before called Brennan's.
That's right, we have.
And so the Scarlett O'Hara is Southern Comfort.
Okay.
Also a New Orleans product.
Sure.
Cranberry juice and lime juice.
All right. Gone with the Wind is celebrating the 80th anniversary this year of its release in theaters, which would have been 1939.
Wow.
And, of course, based on the book by Margaret Mitchell.
Atlanta resident.
Yep.
And I always equate that time frame with even when this house was built. It was about the same time. So
we're in a historic home of Laney's that we record each week, and it does seem fitting to record this podcast in a place that's been preserved. And that's one of the things, of course, that we love and hope for.
Yep.
Gone with the Wind was set in Atlanta, and it was during the American Civil War and Reconstruction era. So, of course, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of this film, but I would guess very few people have gone
committed 4 hours
to the max,
to the theater
to sit and watch this for 4 hours, because it is a commitment.
It is.
But it was important because the main theme of Gone with the Wind is that of survival in times during which traditions and ways of life and thinking, even love and understanding, they were all being put to the test. And
tell about even the name.
Yeah, Gone with the Wind itself is a phrase that Scarlett O'Hara, the main actor, the main lead character, she's wondering to herself if her home on a plantation called Tara is still standing, or if it had gone with the wind, which had swept through Georgia. Mm-hmm. So in a general sense, the title is a metaphor for the demise of a way of life in the South prior to the Civil War.
That's right.
And Tara is the name of the plantation in the film, so not a character name.
That's where she lived.
Yeah. That's actually a fictional plantation. Right. I think a lot of people think they
want to go visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it would be, of course, set in the state of Georgia. It's... What else would I say about it?
And there's another plantation in the movie. Were you going to talk about that one?
Oh,
12 Oaks
12
is
Oaks.
Another plantation that she goes to, and it's referenced. And
yeah, I had read actually that 12 Oaks is in the novel, it's the neighboring plantation, and of course in the movie as well, but it's now the name of many businesses and a high school stadium in nearby Lovejoy, Georgia.
Okay.
So.
And there is a Road to Terra museum.
Okay.
That is in Jonesboro, Georgia, which I think is about 30 minutes south on 75 through, go past Atlanta.
Okay.
That's a place you could visit. Margaret Mitchell's house is a place you could visit, but there's not an actual Terra to visit.
Yeah.
A good bit of this film, I think, was even filmed in Hollywood, right? Like in
yes. Yeah, I think a lot of people have that confusion in terms of where it was actually shot. And it was shot at Selznick International Studios, which is in Hollywood. And funny enough, that studio did not have a very long run of existence. Okay. But it had gone with the wind. Wow. So, of course, it has a name in Hollywood.
And I even wanted to mention in 1939, that was considered a huge year for movies. Like some even say that was one of the best years ever in filmmaking.
That's so interesting.
So think about how far we've come, with technology, but still that would be referenced as one of the best years in filmmaking. You had Wizard of Oz.
Oh.
You had Mr. Smith Goes to Washington.
Oh, my goodness.
Gone with the Wind. I think Wuthering Heights.
Okay.
Maybe. Anyway, there were several that were epic movies.
That's interesting.
All in that year. So, when you think about only one can win Best Picture and it went to Gone with the Wind.
Yeah.
It's just interesting when there's a year where there's so much.
Yeah. Well, there was a lot that stood out in the film because I recently watched it to prepare for today. And I didn't get to watch it in a theater, as I mentioned.
I've watched it within the year. I can't say it's crazy fresh, but within the year I've seen it.
Well, first and foremost, I think it's interesting. It's rated G.
Yeah.
And it's a love story in many regards. I mean, it's much more than a love story.
And they touch some serious subjects.
But it is rated G. And there is hardly any film that you could go see today that's not a cartoon.
Right.
That's rated G.
And it may even,
So,
yeah, that's true.
Myself and my intolerance to some of the R-rated films that, I feel like ambush us constantly. I just so appreciated a film that's going to be a drama and it's rated G. So that was first
and don't you
foremost.
think that they could touch on every subject, difficult, even, I'm just going to say, even the sexual subjects were absolutely addressed, and you knew more of the story without them having to show you.
Exactly.
You knew what had happened.
Yeah, I'm not going to give any spoilers. Yeah. But yes, of course, with any love story, there are topics and elements to it.
And heat. I thought there was some great heat in it.
Yeah. That we don't need to be spoon-fed.
Right.
Yeah, so that's just a personal sort of passion of mine to be able to watch a clean film.
Yeah.
It's highly dramatic.
Yeah.
The dialogue. I intentionally chose not to watch this with my husband just because I thought, I don't think he's actually seen it. But I was like, he's not going to sit here. I don't want any, eye rolling or anything.
Yeah.
It's a chick flick, I think.
Do you?
Yeah.
I don't necessarily
because of the drama.
But I was thinking I kind of wanted to watch it with you, but then I thought, no, I have so many opinions of what I love and what I don't like in it that I can't sit there and not express it.
You would want to pause and talk.
Absolutely.
Or just, mention, here comes your favorite part, or make sure you don't miss this
quote.
Conversation.
Don't miss this quote.
Speaking of quotes, lots of lines come from this movie, right? We don't have to go into all of them, but there's some funny ones that...
Some epic ones. I want to mention a few at some point in our discussion.
Okay.
That aren't necessarily the most epic ones. That were some of my favorites.
Well, go ahead. Tell me something.
You want me to now?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there's quite a few that are epic that I won't touch.
Yeah.
I love a couple of the scenes early on of her with her father.
Yes.
Her talking to her father. One thing that I think is an important theme in the movie, which, sorry if I'm getting into what you're going to talk about later, is the importance for someone Irish in particular, but really I think any place you come from, this can be important. The importance of land.
Land
the
ownership.
Importance of tending the land, caring for the land, maintaining the land.
Owning
ownership.
Owning
the land.
Yes.
So I love when her father, Gerald O'Hara, says, "Do you mean to tell me, Katie Scarlett O'Hara, that land doesn't mean anything to you? Why, land is the only thing in the world worth working for, worth fighting for, worth dying for, because it's the only thing that lasts." Mm-hmm. I love that. Now, I don't believe that that's the only thing that lasts. Yeah. There's other things that I think are worth fighting for and dying for, but that's a great
Do you think
saying.
People still think that?
I do.
Okay.
I do. One of my best friends, Leslie, is Filipino.
Yes.
And she told me her grandmother instilled that in her. That's
cool.
The only thing that, land ownership is the high thing.
High priority.
And so that's very instilled in her. Yeah. I think, in fact, I want to go ahead and say this, and I'll touch it more later. There's a lot of things in this movie that translate to the entire world. It doesn't matter your skin color. It doesn't matter your...
That's true.
Your financial background. The themes is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Translate. And I'll go into that more later, but I would just say, I know for some of the black community, this movie is hard.
Yes.
And I don't want to not touch that.
That's true. Thank you.
Because it is a very real thing. But I think black and white in this movie are very caricatured.
Yeah, stereotyped to the max.
To the max.
Yes.
So while I would probably find offense in, if my skin color was black, that Hattie McDaniel's character and Prissy, those two characters, Mammy and Prissy, even the names, are so caricatured. Yes. But to me, so is Scarlett.
She is, yeah.
And so is even Rhett. And I would even say Melanie. Like, there's things that are very caricatured about everybody.
Yeah.
So,
so
is that fair?
Absolutely. And I would say even the dialogue, like the scripting that was written out for the black characters just fed into that even more.
Sure.
One of the reasons I think this is the best, that I think the best format to see this is on the big screen, isn't just because of the colors and the cinematography, but the sound. The sound is very up and down if you're watching it at home.
Okay.
The music, pipes in.
Yeah.
Some of the characters...
Harder to...
with their accents are really hard to understand. So I was constantly going up and down with the volume.
Her dad's got that thick Irish. I'm sure you're like, huh?
Prissy was very hard for me to understand. So yet again, another good reason that this needs to be seen in the theater where you've got like the most optimal sound.
Yeah.
I know some of our friends and family have great sound systems. Still, I think if you see it in the theater format, it's only going to help with that.
Another quote I love, actually same scene. She's talking with her dad and she's sharing her heart, how she's in love with Ashley, and he's saying, he's gonna be getting engaged tomorrow night or tonight. I can't remember exactly, but
at the barbecue,
and she's losing her mind.
She is.
Some of this will be spoilers.
Yeah,
but not anything too major, but I love this line that her dad says to her. He says, "What difference does it make who you marry as long as he's Southern and he thinks like you?"
That's right.
I thought that was so funny.
I caught that because you mentioned that to me before, and I was like, that is a great line.
That is such a funny line to me. I love that.
There's some truth in that, though. I mean, not necessarily, you don't necessarily have to marry a Southerner, but
if he didn't think like you may think it's cute for a while, but are you going to raise children with this person? Are you going to...
Like-mindedness is very important.
Yeah. Deal with family situations with this person. You do need to... And yeah, that's a very big deal. Maybe that's why I'm still single. I'm just kidding. Okay. You want me to keep going with quotes?
Yeah, I
just
do.
got a few more. Oh my goodness. How much do I love this? Rhett Butler says to her, "Open your eyes and look at me. No, I don't think I will kiss you, although you need kissing badly. That's what's wrong with you. You should be kissed often and by someone who knows how."
Yeah, that's a good line.
A great line.
See, those are the lines though that I'm like, this is a chick flick. Like, you gotta watch this with some girls that can appreciate those sorts of lines.
That's true.
That sort of dialogue.
But I think dudes there's a lot of things in this for them too.
Well, sure. I mean, the crux of it is a war that's happening. Yeah. You're not getting to see a ton of war scenes.
Yeah.
You're getting some.
Yeah.
But there's not epic battle scene after battle scene.
Some of the early stirrings and some of,
you're mostly seeing the repercussions of the war.
Yeah. Which let us not forget those. We've not lived through one.
Right.
Like,
Right.
I do wonder what that would be like for some of the even younger than us population that has had such favor in life.
Sure.
Ease in life.
I caught that the Battle of Franklin is mentioned.
It is, and when I've seen it in the Franklin Theater, they cheered.
Do they really?
That's kind of cute.
So we record here in Franklin, and the Battle of Franklin that was fought on November 30th, 1864, was a very bloody battle here, and there is a mention of the Battle of Franklin in the film. I loved the defined roles of men and women.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, big time.
In fact, that's one of the things that I have heard translates to certain places where this book and movie are really popular, like Japan. It's really, really big in Japan.
Okay.
So, and apparently that's one of the reasons. They like that gender role clarity and the, extreme feminism in the female characters. Yeah. So, it's just interesting.
Probably one of the most interesting scenes to me. And again, I don't want to divulge too much into a film review, but there is a scene where a very large party has happened. It's a barbecue, so it's a daytime, picnic type barbecue.
No air conditioning, hot in the South.
There's going to be a, evening party as well at this plantation where this is happening. So everybody's staying there. You're not going to go home, change your clothes, come back or whatever. So after the barbecue, the men are in one room talking war. The women, undressed down to their petticoats and are upstairs getting fanned while they nap. I was cracking up. I was like, it just was so one of those scenes where I was like, the women are upstairs resting and they're like forced to rest. Like Scarlett doesn't want to rest. Of course, she's wanting to be downstairs talking to all the men.
Right, flirting. She's so feisty. But there's another quote that I think is hilarious. I don't remember if it's that scene, but where she says, "War, war, war. This war talk's spoiling all the fun at every party this spring." I get so bored I could scream.
She's so sassy.
So
she's caricatured for sure. For sure. Well, I wanted to mention a Margaret Mitchell Museum. Mm-hmm. That is just outside of Atlanta.
It's right in.
No, it's in Atlanta.
Midtown
okay.
Area.
Yeah.
On.
It's where she lived between 1925 and 1932. And the rooms, so this is where she lived. So the rooms are on display. There's displays of photographs of Mitchell, and there's actually a half-hour guided tour.
Okay. I have been there, but it's not super memorable to me. It's been a long time ago.
Yeah. So apparently it walks you through her childhood and how she even got into journalism. So that would be interesting as well to go see the place where all of this first transpired.
Yeah. That's quite an undertaking of a book and movie.
Right. Yeah. So Scarlett went on to win the Oscar.
And Hattie McDaniel was the first black Oscar winner, which I love that. And I just wanted to mention, I have not read this, so I'm not endorsing this. I just wanted to mention to anybody who would find this interesting that there was a parody that was written. I want to say it was in like 2000, 2001.
Okay. I didn't realize it was even that recent.
That was called The Wind Done Gone. And it was kind of let's take the same story and tell it from the black perspective. So if that's of interest, check it out. I have not read it. I looked to see if it was on audiobook just because I thought I would listen to it before this to give more, and it was not. So you'd have to actually read it. But just to be fair, I wanted to mention that as well.
And, Hattie McDaniel, what a classy stand-up lady.
Like, could not even attend the premiere.
Because of Jim Crow segregation.
Unbelievable to think,
yeah.
So we've come a long way. I'm not saying we've come the full way, but we've come a long way, and it's just class act to. Mm-hmm. We were even reading about she still endorsed Rhett Butler to go. Like he was saying, oh, well, but then maybe I won't go. The Rhett Butler character, Clark Gable. He wanted
to boycott because she wasn't allowed to go, and she encouraged him to go. Yeah. So she did get to attend the Hollywood release of some kind, but
that clearly the Oscars because she won.
Right.
So,
but the premiere in Atlanta, I'm sure, was a very big deal. So
anyway,
we have come a long way. We have a lot more of a way to go, but this is definitely an interesting film to draw from. What have we learned? What sorts of themes are still relevant today?
And we want to hold on to the good parts. That's part of what we do this podcast for, is to preserve the good parts of the South.
Right.
So while there's things that that we wish we didn't have in our history, there's a lot of things that are good that we do want to hold on to.
That's true.
And some of these themes are those very things.
Do we want to talk about manners, or did you have any other Gone with the Wind thoughts?
I think that was most of my Gone with the Wind thoughts.
Okay. Yeah. Well, manners, chivalry, and resourcefulness, while not mentioned in any of the technical reviews of the film, are certainly ones that we pulled out of the film, and ones that we thought were relevant to talk about today. So I threw the question out to a Southern Living group that I'm a part of, apropos
the manners part.
Yes. I threw the question out to a group called There's No Excuse for Bad Manners. What better group to ask? And 75 comments later,
wow.
I just did this yesterday. My question really was, what, in terms of adults, what are the areas that you feel like adults need the most help for manners?
With manners.
Yeah.
Can I start with just saying something about manners?
Sure.
I wanted to just say that there is a difference in manners and etiquette.
That's true.
There is a difference, and I believe manners always trump etiquette.
Okay.
And what I mean by that is I just have this example that I remember reading something similar one time, and it just really stuck with me. Bad etiquette is using your dinner fork on your salad. Bad manners is pointing out that someone used their dinner fork on their salad.
That is good.
Isn't that not,
Yeah, manners have to do with the heart, I believe.
Absolutely.
And etiquette I believe is something you're taught.
And I think manners actually is, I believe manners is taught to some degree too. But the heart is absolutely key.
Yeah.
With all things kindness, all things.
I think it's easier to show good manners if you're just coming from a place of honor.
Yes.
Sometimes, even if you're trying to be honorable, you can still have bad etiquette.
Right. Like when the two are married, it's even,
it's really great.
Audrey Hepburn-like.
Yeah.
But, so I just wanted to start with saying
really
that.
Good.
It's like manners always trumps etiquette. Hopefully, if you want to learn some proper etiquette, we could even talk about that, or you can take classes on that. Not that I know all of it, but I have really on my own learned some of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I wasn't shown step by step a lot of that stuff, just because that wasn't part of our life.
Yeah.
Which we didn't have a lot of meals that were lots of different utensil choices where we would
bread
need that.
plate and buttering our bread correctly. Yes.
Which, I remember sharing a story with you one time where I was at a meal with a very wealthy, fancy family, and hearing the grandmother shame the granddaughter because she buttered her bread wrong. She literally said, "You're never going to meet a man buttering your bread like that."
Wow.
And I just thought, whoa.
Yeah.
That's terrible to be in a...
Can you imagine setting up your online profile? Knows how to butter bread.
Right.
Like there's my headline.
So anyway, I just think manners always trumps etiquette. I just wanted to start there.
That is so good. Well, one of the most prevalent themes that I saw in asking this question, and I think we all have a long way to go with this because it continues to emerge, is what's sitting here right next to both of us. The cell phone, the smartphone. This is getting out of control in terms of how rude everyone is feeling around it. Mm-hmm. It's wonderful.
It's invading everything.
Yeah, it's wonderful in terms of the resources we have access to, the ease at which we can do things. Mm-hmm. the connectedness in terms of being able to get a hold of people.
Right.
There's a lot of great, but time after time in just going about your day, we're all constantly meeting and running into people that are blocking us from doing our, tasks by their disruptiveness on the phone. So it could be verbal.
And I'm constantly like chin open, chin on the ground, floored at some of the stuff people do.
But it's also very addicting. So I find myself really fighting sometimes checking my phone or looking to see what that notification is that just came up, even in a conversation with a friend that I'm really enjoying.
Loudly talking on it in public places.
Yeah, I don't loudly talk on it. I've seen that plenty of times. And it's just difficult because for some reason that, conversation that someone's having on their phone seems to validate importance in terms of like them being able to put their hand up of I'm on the phone, most important. I'll be with you in a second.
Right, so you're second or third or fourth or fifth, right.
It's just a
Well,
weird...
and then I'm sometimes amazed at the things people will talk about in public. Like I was in TJ Maxx shopping and there was a woman on her phone talking about her therapy appointment.
Oh boy.
On her phone. And I was kind of embarrassed for her.
Right.
Of what she was sharing in my ear gate.
Right.
So...
That's odd.
It's just, I think people think they forget you're not in a bubble.
Right. You're not. Yes, we can all hear you. There's no invisibility cloak over you right now. Yeah. So
there's lots to talk about here.
I don't know how we remedy it unless we just say the right way to, or the right side to err on is to put it away and have it tucked away.
Yeah.
More times than not. In public, I'm talking about.
Public,
and then, of course, your own family dynamics, that's also something that needs some working through. Because it's really bad manners, too, for spouses and friends, family, even in your own home, to be...
Right. If I've taken the time to have a meal with you, it's because I want to look at your eyeballs and catch up.
Yeah.
So if you're on your phone...
Gosh, it's just so addicting and so difficult to break down.
Yeah. That brings me to one of my favorite quotes, though. One of my favorite quotes is from a missionary named Jim Elliot, who was an amazing person. And he said that wherever you are, be all there. Mm-hmm. And that is engraved in me. I'm not saying I do it 100% of the time, but it is so in me that I just think sometimes I'll even say, hey, let me send this text real quick before we get started. Because I'm about to put it up.
Right.
And be all here.
Or there are instances where I think it's a good heads up to give somebody of, hey, I'm expecting a call from
absolutely
X, Y, or Z. So if that happens, I might have to step out for a second. I think that, because oftentimes the cell phone is our only phone. So you may be waiting on a doctor's phone call.
Right. And
they're not going to try your home phone leave a voicemail there.
If your child's sick and you need to keep it on.
Right.
In case the school calls, I completely get it. And I'll just say this translates to the massage room.
Oh, boy, I'm sure.
I have that where I'm like, okay, fine, let's just leave it over here and I'll hand it to you and we'll see if it's the school. But it is sad to me if you can't turn it off for 1 hour.
Yeah.
And receive a massage for 1 hour.
Yeah. Because you're a massage therapist.
Yeah, sorry. So. Yeah. So that...
For those new to the show.
That's just an interesting thing where I think, of course there's circumstances where it's going to need to be on. But those should be fairly rare, I would think.
Yeah. So I think we all have a long way to go with cell phone etiquette and manners. But I think number one, just being mindful of
That's
it.
Huge.
And trying to be kind to others and honor the space that you're in and that you're walking into.
Right.
That's going to help you navigate it.
Even if you don't know. Mom and I have talked about she, works part-time at Joann's fabric store and that she's had customers that she doesn't, they're the next up for her to cut their fabric and they're on the phone. Just a second. And she's just standing there how many
I had several people mention that on this comment train of how many times they're, don't get in line if you're not ready.
Holding up the whole line and this employee.
Yeah.
And it's saying none of y'all are valuable.
Exactly.
Whether or not that's even what your heart is.
This call is the most important thing, not just for me, but now for you guys too, because you're having to prioritize it.
That's right.
Okay.
So mindfulness.
Yeah. So that was a huge theme. And then the other theme that was very popular in terms of mentions was the RSVP, and I will say lack thereof. My goodness.
Yeah.
If you've never hosted, maybe you haven't felt the pain of not knowing what your head count is. Mm-hmm. But I'm here to tell you, it is beyond rude, right?
Yeah, it's beyond.
I RSVP'd as I was typing this up to a wedding because I was thinking, I don't want them to, I just got it a couple of days ago, but I was like, I don't want them to wait on me. I don't want them to be waiting on me.
There's a lot that goes into planning an event. You're thinking, how many cars are we going to have to park? How much food am I going to need? How much, whatever. There's lots of things. So mindfulness and kindness towards that host or hostess is of utmost importance.
Yeah. So my husband brought up an interesting point.
He did.
He thinks that the Facebook event option that many people use as a form of inviting online to their friends has only fed into this lack of commitment and this problem. Because many times your three options on a Facebook event are going, interested, and can't go. Well, of course you're interested. I would hope you're interested. You've been invited to a party. So that just really is putting yourself down as interested, which is basically a maybe, does not help.
It's actually worse.
That's a no count.
To me.
Yeah.
Because now I'm thinking, well then you
might
strongly might or tiny bit might. And then there can even be cost, like, if there's tickets involved in this event.
Right.
So I want to know, you're on my first list, but if you can't go, I do want another person to use it.
Exactly.
Or to come to my shindig.
Yeah.
So mindfulness of maybe, give yourself, okay, I need to answer this in 2 days. I need to answer this in 5 days. But if they have a date on there.
And usually if it's a very formal affair, like a wedding or a shower,
there is a date, RSVP by.
Mm-hmm. But that's when they probably have to give their head
last
count
minute need
to
a
know. Caterer.
I'm going to this grocery, or I'm paying the caterer, or So this is a big deal.
It is.
You can hear
so what do we do? What do we do about this lack of commitment? Do we?
Well, I think
starts with us.
All things manners and etiquette. Mm-hmm. I think both come very much from. Yes, you can learn it on your own, but we got to steer each other. Mm-hmm. Those particularly that we've been put. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion over.
Yeah.
Obviously your children. But for me, I'm planning on... I already know some books on chivalry that I want to talk to Jacob about and read to him.
That's my son. Yeah.
He's not my kid, but he's, my nephew.
Sure.
And I want him to be, godly and a man of integrity. And so I'm going to do my part in that. And then even the Lord... has put other scenarios while I don't have my own children where I've spiritual parented some other. And so just helping them along with the things that we need to steer children in that way. And I even think, your friends that you're close enough to. Obviously, you don't want to offend those that are not close to you. But I do believe I need help sometimes of Larbeth saying, like, hey, I wouldn't say it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Or,
Right, yeah. Well, I am making it a point to not use the interested button unless it is basically a citywide event. So if a Main Street festival is listed on a Facebook event, I might mark interested. More so, I get a reminder.
That's why I want that to be marked.
But I know they're not going to...
They're not counting how many food trucks to have if Larbeth comes.
No. They're not going to know if I'm there or not, And so I'm really trying to get away from that.
That's good.
And also just... I think the sooner the better. Just... If you usually know if you're, A, unavailable for an event, or B, if you just don't want to go. That's okay. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes the host would just rather you just go ahead and mark not coming.
So can I go into that a little bit?
Sure.
Too? Again, with the be where you are. Mm-hmm. I would rather have a no. If you're going to be on your phone and thinking about where you got to be in 30 minutes, I actually would rather you just not. I'm just, in all honesty.
Yeah.
And I even remember, reading about in etiquette books and things like that. Like when somebody invites you to a party or an event, mm-hmm. it's because they love you and want you there,
sure.
but also expecting participation.
Yes.
So they didn't just invite you because they thought you were hungry and you might need to have some food. They didn't just invite you because they thought you didn't have anything to do.
Yeah.
They invited you because they like you and they want
you.
Your participation.
Sure.
So if you're going to go, you need to participate.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to say that because I think, we should take invitations as a very big honor.
Yes. Yeah.
They want me there to participate and communicate with people. And if it's something like a shower and you only know one person, you should meet your host and hostess. Or
sure.
And you should try to engage with a few of the people that you don't know.
Yeah.
Just because they honored you.
Right. It's just a whole mindset shift, right?
That's right.
It's not I have to go to this. It's I was picked to be on this guest list.
That's right.
I was chosen to be included in this group of people for this occasion. So that's, we're on a soapbox, aren't we?
Well, and were you going to go into introductions? Because that's even a good place.
So that's my personal pet peeve, but also one I'm really trying to sharpen myself on. Because, right? Just lead by example.
My goodness. And there's so many scenarios in life.
I really think we all need help with introductions, adult to adult. Mm-hmm. I mean, this can work adult to kids, too, because it really is just about honoring. But I, countless times, am at events or any occasion, and I don't know if it's just an assumption that I know you, you know me, or our host just forgot that we don't know each other, or our mutual friend forgot to introduce us, whatever. It's just an unsaid of introductions, and it gets left undone.
Yes.
And it's such a missed opportunity.
Yeah.
So,
and there's even scenarios where you've been in the same room 5 times, but you've never met.
Exactly.
And so if there's an assumption that you have,
yes, yeah,
you might be in the room 5 more times.
Exactly.
And never meet.
So I love hearing my name. Other people
Everybody
love hearing their name. And so I think most important is when you're introducing, say the name of both people.
Yeah.
I have a workaround just in case you don't know one of the people's names.
Okay. Yeah, because that happens too.
That happens too.
If people just avoid it altogether.
If you don't know either person's names, then you have no business introducing.
True. That's true.
But if you only can remember one of the party's names, then you should say, I'll use you as an example. If I know your name, Lainey, but I can't remember the other person's name.
Okay.
Lainey, have you two met? That's what I say.
Okay.
Because now your name's been said, Lainey.
Uh-huh. But I don't think we have.
And most likely, the unknown person's name offers their hand and says, I'm so-and-so.
Okay, yeah.
Because see, I got the ball rolling by saying, Lainey, have you met so-and-so? So I've kicked it off by saying, basically inferring, we're sharing names here. Yeah. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So that's my workaround, just in case I can't remember one person's name. But I really like mentioning both people's names, and I love a line from Bridget Jones' diary. She was brilliant, of course.
Such a trip.
She says to introduce people with thoughtful details.
Oh, yeah.
So, sometimes that's hard to think about on the spot. But really, again, back to kindness, honor, just saying something.
What do you think about that person?
That might be a commonality is really great. Mm-hmm. If there's no commonality, just something kind about each of the people that you're introducing. So sometimes that takes a little practice, and that's okay.
And that's good for you. It sharpens you.
Right.
Even in practicing that.
Yeah.
But yeah. What is a commonality?
I think it makes people feel seen, appreciated, and
known, which we all want to feel known.
And I will say this. I actually really love seeing the surprised look on someone's face if I'm introducing them and I'm saying something that they didn't know I even thought about them.
Oh, that's so priceless. Yeah, when you're like, she led one of the best Bible studies I've ever done.
Exactly.
What? I didn't know
Maybe
that was
you've
one
never
of your
even
favorites.
gotten to tell her that in person. Now you've actually just given her accolade in the presence of someone new. So anyway, that is something that I would love to see myself improve on and just sort of an increase in better introductions in general.
Yeah. So. And I love connecting people. So that even is a fun thing where you can use that of like, oh, did you know you guys both love jazz music?
You are great at that.
Jazz music? You know, that kind of thing.
You are great at that.
So,
yeah.
We all need to improve on that.
Good.
What's next on the, I'm sure there's many. But.
Well, yeah, I mean, just for time's sake, I won't go into too many. Appearances, wear your pajamas at home. That was mentioned, the sloppier.
I tried to instill in you pretty early because there's age difference here. Just, it's always better to be overdressed than underdressed. It gets you places. I'm sorry, I have tons of stories I could tell where I've ended up just because I was dressed at least, better than most in the crowd.
Right.
Where it got me somewhere.
Yeah.
And I just think that's always a good err on the side of that.
Yeah.
Not that I don't go out in sweatpants sometimes, but I can promise I've never been out in house shoes or any of that.
Well, real quick before you move off of that, though, there was a quote, and I read it in that, what's it called? The Whiskey in a Teacup book that Reese Witherspoon wrote. I think it was her grandmother, Dorothy, said how people dress. That was kind of what she was talking about. Presenting yourself well is a way to show others you care about them.
That's right.
That's really
it's so true.
A different mindset.
I cared about this event that you had.
Yeah. Well, or even I care about who I'm seeing today, wherever that might be. So I'm definitely guilty of casual dress. I wouldn't say sweatpant level, but or pajamas. I've never gone out in my pajamas.
Never.
But
well, yeah, I think that's very important. There's many things we could talk about, but really most of it all does come from the heart, come from thinking about others, being mindful of the situation you're in. Any other things? Did you want to go into any? I just was thinking even there's a few things to think of when you're staying in someone's home. I mean, I can do it pretty quick, but I think that's a whole nother level of mindfulness.
Yeah.
If you're in somebody's home, you need to kind of try to do things to some degree to the way they do.
Yeah, that's very true.
Do they all leave their shoes at the front door? Whether or not you like that or not, that's
true.
Kind of what they do, then that's what you do. If they all get up at 7 a.m., I'm not saying you have to get up at 7 a.m., but it's awkward if you sleep till noon.
Yeah.
If everybody else is,
Yeah.
Just being that there again, just mindfulness, pitching in. And sometimes it's more, I think, I just want to say in regards to pitching in, it's more helpful to give a specific than just say, how can I help? Sometimes in the stress, they're just going to go, don't worry about it. I got it. Whereas if you say, can I set the table? Right.
You offer up something.
They might go, absolutely. So even just trying to think, what would be a good way to say this?
And that's probably something, you're probably going to offer something you feel comfortable doing.
Right.
Too. So
if you don't know how to set the table, can I walk the dog for you?
Sure.
Or something that you kind of are good at.
That's
or
a
know
great idea.
What to do or something. Instead of just saying, how can I help?
Yeah. I like that. That's great.
And just, in regards to that, we don't have to go into all of the things we've talked about, hostess gifts, thank yous, all that, but just mindfulness of the space you're in and that they may even need space. If you're staying with somebody for 2 or 3 days, maybe you plan a little shopping adventure or going on a hike or something on your own just to give them space too.
Yeah.
Just little things like that.
Good.
So just mindfulness of...
That's really good. That's good.
All things. Mindfulness of all things.
So one of our listeners actually proposed, what about an adult cotillion? Can we just get some sort of organization?
I wonder if people would want to do it.
Yeah, I don't know if they would or not. Maybe they think that ship has sailed. You can't teach a dog old tricks.
Some people do think that, and I don't know. I've thought before of teaching classes to young girls just because I don't think there's a lot of that anymore. There's some. Mm-hmm. But it's interesting to think about an adult.
Right? Are we too prideful to ask for help in that regard? I don't know.
I can tell you if that's the case, I have learned majority of what I know on my own. It wasn't because I was steered in that direction. It was mostly me looking into things myself because I just didn't know and wanted to be better.
Yeah.
So you can seek it out.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting idea.
Yeah. Basic Manners and Etiquette 101, How to Be Kind in the Midst of Strangers. That was her proposed topic.
I like it.
Adult cotillion. Well, again, we're always learning.
Always learning.
And there's a couple more topics. I know we're going a little longer today, but man, we wanted to talk about chivalry as well because it is so prevalent in Gone with the Wind, and it's something our hearts desire so much. It's so attractive when you see chivalry in action.
I mean, I honestly don't think there's anything sexier than that.
Yeah.
Is that okay to say that?
Yes.
Like, I don't think there's anything sexier than chivalry.
Well, and I think we're thinking of chivalry way too small. It is so much more than a guy picking up the check after dinner. And it's so much more than a guy opening up the door. I mean,
While those things are precious and lovely, I wasn't even thinking that at all.
Okay, well, I feel like that's when I hear the word chivalry is around a door being open.
Absolutely.
See, chivalry's not dead, things like that. Yeah. And I'm like, that's where
that's our
putting our...
that's sad if that's the whole
stance
marker.
On chivalry. Okay. It's just, I feel like it's a deep down place in a man's heart to fight for things.
Yes.
Right? Fight for the weak, fight for his family, fight for his home, fight for the land, his dreams, job.
Yes.
All of that.
Yes.
Just the
things he...
Yes. Not sometimes physically fight, but just the holding on to passions and seeing it all through.
And nothing makes a woman feel more honored than that. Mm-hmm. I mean, I have a little example. Do you want me to share? That was just, I thought was really an interesting one. When I was in my later 20s, there was a group of us at a nightclub dancing. Mm-hmm. And in those scenarios, there's often people who've had too much to drink.
Sure.
And so anyway, there was a situation where somebody was dancing like too inappropriately and close to me.
Okay.
And one of my guy friends said something to him. I didn't know. I mean, I saw that he said something to him, but it continued, and he had to like push him.
Oh gosh.
And not fight him or anything, but just like take control of the situation because you didn't hear me.
Right.
And I felt so honored.
Yeah, I bet.
You know? I bet. And that's just one small scenario.
Right.
But where there's kind of just a process of, no, I really do mean this, and I'm going to take the next step now.
Yeah.
Hopefully, there's lots of scenarios in life, but I just remember that being really impactful where I thought, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. I looked up the definition, and it's like the first reference for chivalry would have been in reference to a knight.
Sure, yeah.
So it said it's the courage, honor, courtesy, justice, and a readiness to help the weak.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yes. That rises up in a man for what he holds dear. Be that his wife, his friend, his, like you were saying, job, his dreams, what he holds dear.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't have to necessarily be a weak person. It can be much more than that.
Yeah. Though it could be a cause where you're standing up for the weak.
Yeah. Yeah. But I thought that was interesting that it was even a courtesy. Because I think courtesy is really what we've narrowed it down to.
That is so true.
It's just being courteous.
Yeah.
But it's so much more than that.
It is. And I believe that is a deep God-given thing to a man.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's good. Well, there was several chivalrous men in Gone with the Wind in different sort of formats. But
I even loved the scene, and again, it's been a while since I've seen it, but something was happening to Scarlett and one of their hired help, came to her rescue.
I know.
And I loved that.
Yeah, that scene actually reminded me of another scene in Fried Green Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
Where a guy comes to help. I mean...
Yeah.
Yeah. Stepped in and took action.
Yeah.
For the weak in that regard.
Yeah.
Not that women are weak. There was just a weakness to the situation. So...
Yeah. And so how precious that he considered... You know, hopefully that was mutual, that they felt... like each other were family. I hope that was the case. I don't know. But I remember that scene as being like, oh, that's good.
Yeah.
You know, they care for one another in that way.
Yeah. That's good. Do you have anything else about chivalry? Other than we just love it?
One thing I just wanted to note is I do think that in the guy's defense, I think extreme feminism has played into
totally agree
what's happened to chivalry not being as prevalent because they're kind of scared to because they've been told I can do it on my own. Use like the extreme independence.
Sure.
Where now they're afraid to step up like they want to.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to mention that, but I think that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I would definitely say chivalry is not dead. I just think it's less recognized. And I think it's less encouraged.
Yeah.
So, I think it's still there, though.
Oh, yeah. I believe it's God-given, so it's not going away.
I think it needs some fanning. Yeah. Just like our manners discussion. I think we need to fan good manners into action.
That's right. And, you know, just even as a single woman, I am able to do most things. Doesn't mean that it's beneficial for me to do those things. Right. So even just... you know, knowing just because I can doesn't mean that I want to.
Sure.
Even. Yeah. You know, so just we need each other.
Yes.
There's not a that I can't do it, but we need each other. So there's other things I would rather do, you know, to support my male friends and have them support me. And I think it can be in a very healthy way.
Well, and I think that's one of the values I love about the South is that community is strong here. I think people seek out relationships here in a different way.
Yeah.
That they recognize the need for each other.
Yeah. That's good.
Okay, well, one of the most resourceful people I have ever met is our mom.
Oh, my goodness. Yes.
So we have oftentimes cracked up at her saying, do you want to tell the...
Oh, because it so ties in.
It's straight from Gone with the Wind.
Actually, we're the ones who say it.
That's true.
We
describe
But
Mom.
she says it every once in a while. And that is, I'll just wear the drapes.
Yeah.
And what we mean by that is Mom always surrenders her desires to helping us with ours.
Right.
And so that's just kind of a joking way of saying, like, oh, I'll make what I need out of the drapes. Yeah. Just like Scarlett made her lovely dress because that's all she had. So Mom just says, I'll just wear the drapes. Or we'll say, oh, thanks, Mom. You're just going to wear the drapes.
Yeah. And since she can actually sew, it makes sense.
It makes even perfect sense.
She actually could wear drapes for clothing.
So we love to say that to her.
So I have one example that is pretty recent of, I mean, there's lots of examples of Mom's resourcefulness, but I just felt like this one takes the cake.
Can I even say that why she sews, what she told me one time, why she learned to sew?
Yeah. Why?
She said, I wanted to look beautiful, and we didn't have enough money. So I thought, well, if I can learn how to sew, then I can make lovely things. And so that's why she learned to sew, was so that she could look lovely.
Wow. That's
without
impressive.
A lot of money.
Yep.
So she's brings lovely all around now.
Yeah, she does. She's very, very talented. So Lainey went on a trip to China, and this was just last year, last year. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, you had some bug bites that you got that were horrendous. Like
I had an allergic reaction, which apparently happens sometimes when you're in a foreign land.
So it's not like we're talking about a European vacation where you may have been able to get somebody to translate your need for some sort of help on your skin irritation.
Yeah, I played charades at the pharmacy.
Yeah, so you're in China. You're having a very hard time. You're looking for maybe some sort of a salt scrub or something to relieve and
the itching.
To relieve the itching and to start the healing process. So you're having trouble, and you get in touch with Mom, and she says, well, if you can't find salt scrub, why don't you use some table salt and make up your own mixture? I mean, brilliant.
Who would think of this?
Who thinks of making their own salt scrub in China?
That's right.
Out of the table salt.
And it just absolutely was like, well, that's what you do.
Yeah.
To Mom.
Yeah. You need salt? Go get some salt.
So I did.
And it was helpful, right?
It was hugely helpful.
So kudos to Mom.
She's always thinking like that. Like,
she knows.
And what I love about it is that it's so natural to her. She'll be just like, well, why don't you just get a blah, blah, blah and do blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I've never even visualized that at all.
Yeah. It's an innate characteristic, but I also think when you're around resourceful people, it is sort of contagious.
It out in you too.
see how they operate, and it is something that I do think can be taught.
I have a funny story of something you and I have talked about before.
What?
Potential reality show. Do you remember this? So we were talking about the fact that we can look in the pantry, or when we were younger, and we'd look in the pantry and, Mom, there's no food. When can we go to the grocery?
Yeah.
Mom could have fed us for 2 more weeks, 3 meals a day, 2 more weeks. I promise you.
Good stuff too. Not just
very
beans.
Tasty meals.
Right.
But she sees a bag of potatoes and a bag of beans, and she sees that differently than you and I do.
Yeah.
Because she's had to.
Yeah.
So she thinks, oh, we've got that, and we've got that, and then I could add that in, and we look and go, we don't have this, this, and this, so we need to go to the grocery.
Drive through.
Right. And so Laura Beth and I were talking about there could, be a reality show where who could make tasty meals for the longest with just what was in this pantry.
Right. That's Hell's Kitchen, is when you got nothing.
Seriously. Because I thought about that show. I forget what it's called.
The Baking, Great American Baking?
No, there's one where they give you, here's the 6 ingredients. What can you come up with?
That's true. I don't remember what that is.
I think that's kind of where this was birthed from, where we were talking about, but who could do it for 2 weeks?
That's right.
With what's in the pantry.
With a regular old pantry, not gourmet foods. Yeah. That's good. Well, she is definitely resourceful. Scarlett O'Hara proves herself resourceful.
And, I have a question is, do you think, we kind of touched this already, but in that movie, to me, some survive, some don't.
Right.
Do you think some people have more of a inherent survival mode than others?
Yeah. I do. I mean, it doesn't always pan out if shots are being fired.
Of course.
But I think absolutely.
I guess I'm thinking more will to fight.
That's what I was just going to say. The will to live drives even cancer.
Right.
Sometimes.
That's right.
I mean, it can be a fighter like no other. I think the will to live. So,
and some call that gumption. Like you have the gumption to. Push through and press on. And that's one of my favorite parts of this Gone with the Wind film. Yeah. Is just that she had that. And I don't agree that she should manipulate and do all of those things that she did. But love that survival.
Well, February 28th, March 3rd, March 17th, and 18th are all the dates that the film Gone with the Wind will be in theaters nationwide. And we're excited because those last 2 dates were just added. So there's demand for the film. They're selling tickets now. You can go to fathomevents.com to find the theater nearest you. And we enjoyed our time with you today. Yes. Obviously, it's a passion of ours because we went a little longer than normal, but we just wanted to make sure and share some thoughts and even acknowledge some of the comments that we've been getting on Facebook of some of you guys out there that have those same stirrings. So we hope you have a great week and catch us here next time.